Good evening. My name is Emily Hankey, and I will be presenting the benefits of 3D printing in Habitat for Humanity's process. Before I begin, I'd like to provide a brief overview of what my presentation will talk about. I'll begin with an introduction on Habitat for Humanity and the benefits of 3D printing in their process. I'll speak about the information technology needed to be successful. I'll discuss the competitive environment with an emphasis on the competitive advantage. I'll discuss the organizational implementation along with my 4 critical success factors. And finally, I'll present a summary of what I spoke about. Habitat for Humanity is a global nonprofit organization. They focus on rebuilding low-income communities and communities that have been ravaged by natural disaster. Their current process takes about 6 to 8 months to construct a home, and homes can cost anywhere from $135,000 to $165,000. By implementing 3D printing in their current process, Habitat for Humanity will benefit from lowered costs, shorter timelines, and have a more sustainable alternative available to them. 3D printing functions through computer-aided design technology. This allows architects to go onto a computer, create a blueprint, export the blueprint, import it into the 3D printer, and the 3D printer implements it. 2 softwares that I've found to be most compatible with 3D printing are Archicad and Sidreo. Thankfully, these are 2 softwares that are currently implemented in the construction industry, so many architects have prior knowledge and experience working with both of these. Otherwise, if we have new architects coming into the industry, both these softwares are very user-friendly and easy to adapt to. 3D printers utilize material extrusion technology, which is conducted through a closed-loop feedback system. I'll get into material extrusion technology on the next slide, as I have a visual that walks you through the process a little bit more. But the importance of a closed-loop feedback system is that any disturbance is accounted for. So whether that be human disturbance or outside disturbances such as debris floating through the air, it won't affect the finished result. So here's the visualization of material extrusion technology. As you can see, a spool of material, which will be inside of the printer, will be deposited outside through a heated nozzle, and it will be deposited layer by layer. So the competitors most affected by the implementation of the 3D printer would be traditional construction companies that rely on semi-automatic and manual laborers. We want them to see Habitat for Humanity adopt this process and see the benefits that Habitat for Humanity begins to experience, and we want them to say, why can't we do this? A great example of a company that's been able to implement the 3D printer successfully in their process is a company by the name of Wasp. And they were actually able to construct this home in 24 hours for a little under $1,000. And not only were they able to experience time and cost benefits, but they were also able to utilize waste that was from the rice harvesting process. So they were able to create a sustainability aspect out of it as well. And in this slide, I have a breakdown of how they were able to utilize their material. So 10% is hydraulic lime, 25% is rice husk, 40% is straw chopped rice, and the remaining 25% is made up of soil. And the importance of the soil is that this was actually sourced on site. So as they were clearing the land for the construction of this home, they actually utilized that very soil to put into the material. Now, I'm going to be looking at 4 critical success factors that I've deemed important for the organizational implementation of the 3D printer in Habitat for Humanity's process. So my very first one is going to be accuracy of the data. We want to ensure that we're putting ample amounts of resources into our research and development side of things. We want to ensure that our material extrusion technology, our closed loop feedback system, and our software is the best that it can be. So the only way that we can do this is by investing in it and ensuring that we're putting the money into research and development. Next is materials used in the process. So we have two options really. We could go a more standardized route, or we can go a more customized route. So the standardized route would be using a concrete mixture, and this would cost less between the two. And this would also ensure that the buildings would be weather resistant, as concrete is the most durable material. Or we can go a more standard or a more customized route. And the customized route would be a little bit more expensive, as it would require a team of engineers to filter through what we wanted to use as material and ensure that there's no fiber or sediment in the material that we want to use. Next, we could do resistance. Next, we need to look at resistance from volunteers. So a lot of people, once technology gets introduced to a new process, they get fearful of their jobs, of, the future. And we need to ensure that our volunteers are educated and they're trained, and they need to realize that introducing the 3D printer into the process only makes the process more efficient. We still need volunteers to install windows, doors, roofs, floors. We need painting to be done. So we're only making the process more efficient for them. Next, we have training of operator personnel. We want our operators to have some kind of background in technology, whether that be engineering, information systems, or computer designing. And we also need them to understand that because 3D printing is so new in the construction industry, that they need to read and be up to date in any building codes coming out and rules and regulations that might be coming out. So in summary, I spoke about Habitat for Humanity and the benefits that 3D printing would bring to their process. I discussed the information technology needed to be successful. I discussed the competitive environment with a focus on the competitive advantage that 3D printing brings to the industry. And I discussed the organizational implementation along with my 4 critical success factors. Now, 3D printing would bring lowered costs, lowered timelines, and an alternative to be more sustainable into Habitat for Humanity's process. And we just need to ensure that the implementation is really thought out and it would be successful and a good fit for Habitat for Humanity. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the discussion, and I'll be sure to answer them as soon as I can. Thank you so much.